Okay, yesterday we read this book, The Three Little Pigs. Remember this story? And we talked about the characters in the story. So we talked about who the story was about. And I want to see if you can remember who are the five characters in this story. See if you can list them off. First one, second one, third one, fourth one, and the fifth one. Let's see if you were right. So the first character that we came in to know is Mommy Pig. Second one is Horace. Third one, Boris. Fourth one, Percy. And the fifth one is the Big Bad Wolf. Good job if you said each of those. So the characters are who the story is about. And today we will talk about the next thing that's called the setting. The setting. So the setting is mostly where the story takes place. So what is the scenery like? Does it take place on a farm or in the woods or in the city? Does it take place in houses or does it take place in a restaurant? What is the setting? Well, let's look back. Where does the story take place? Oh, let's look. We see a door and windows, and it looks almost like a house. So let's read again. There were once three little pigs named Horace, Boris, and Percy who lived together in a teeny tiny cottage in the forest. Look at that. So, right there in the very first section of the book, it says, Boris and Percy who lived together in a teeny tiny cottage in the forest. A cottage is just a little tiny house. So we know where the story takes place. It takes place in a teeny tiny cottage. And where is that teeny tiny cottage? Is it in the city? Is it in the forest? Is it on a farm? Is it on a mountain? Where is it? That's right, it is in the forest. Good job remembering. So that is where the beginning of the story takes place. Then it moves from their home in the little cottage in the forest, and the three pigs go out on their own and they build their own houses. So, look at this first house. What is it made out of? It is made out of straw, you're right. And it looks like it's right on the edge of a field of straw. So that is the setting for this house. The next pig, it says at the very beginning, it says, soon after Boris and Percy reached the edge of the woods. So they reached the edge of the woods. We can see all of the trees in the background. And so he built his house out of sticks. And then the next pig, Percy kept on walking. He kept walking. He didn't want to build his house on the edge of the woods. So it says, then he came to a brickyard. So Percy worked and worked and worked to build his house out of bricks right by the brickyard. So we know 4 places that this story takes place. We know that it takes place at the mom's house in a little cottage in the woods. We know, or in the forest, I mean. And then we know that this one, the straw house, they reached the edge of a large field. So we know that he built his house out of straw at the edge of a large field. Second place. Now the third place. Do you remember this? He built his house out of sticks because he was at the edge of the forest or the woods. Good job. And finally, Percy built his house out of bricks because his house was right beside a brickyard. Good job. Those are all the setting. That's where it takes place. And you remembered each of them. Good job. Very good. So now, that is all of the places, I believe. Yeah, that's all the places. So that is what the setting is, where the story takes place. So we learned the characters, who the story is about, and we learned the places where the story takes place, the setting. Awesome job!